Hello, my dear students. Welcome to our flipped learning session. This is Mitulaj. Today, we are going to discuss a poem titled She Walks in Beauty by Lord Byron, who's a famous romantic poet. So, in this session, we will be discussing about the life of poet, about the period he wrote his poems, and the character analysis of his poem, and the description of the poem, themes, symbols, personification, and other figure of speeches. So, welcome to our session. Let's go to the video. So, first, we are going to discuss about the poet. We know that he is a romantic poet and he was born on 22nd January in 1788 in England. So he is an English romantic poet, and he was a well-known poet as well as a politician. That is very important, and he is considered as a national hero for Greeks. So Greek people admire him as a national hero, and planning an attack to Ottoman Empire, he felt ill. So he became ill when planning an attack to Ottoman Empire. So in 19 April 1824, he died in Greece. So he was born in England. He died in Greece. For Greek people, he is considered one of the national hero. And next we are going to discuss about romantic period. We have already discussed about romantic period in our earlier sessions. So romantic period is a movement in art, literature, and music. And we have also compared romanticism and neoclassicism. And you know the differences between romanticism and neoclassicism. So this period is known as a philosophical, literary, artistic, and cultural era. Look at the statement: a philosophical, literary, artistic, and cultural era. So the impact of romanticism was art and culture. So it was inspired by industrial revolution. So there was a profound impact of industrial revolution on romanticism. And concepts like nature, love, and moral issues was also a part of romantic period. So romanticism is a combination of inspiration, imagination, intuition, and individuality. That is very important because romantic poetry always focused on subjective poetry or subjectivity and idealism. So romanticism was a combination of inspiration, imagination, intuition, individuality, and idealism. Next, we are going to discuss how this poem, She Walks in Beauty by Lord Byron, is related with romanticism. We can see that She Walks in Beauty is a romantic poem that has a lot of characteristics of this romantic movement, and such as medieval features. It contains some elements of medieval features, strong emotions as a source of aesthetic experience, and there is a inclination to talk about nature and love. So there are a few examples given below, which heaven to gaudy day denies. So this is the sixth line of the poem. She walks in the beauty. So here there is a focus on nature. Here poet focus on nature. That is a pure feature of romanticism, and focus on love is also there in line 18th. A heart whose love is innocent. So all these lines underlines that this is a pure romantic poem, and the poet Lord Byron was a pure romanticist. Next, we are going to discuss about the poem and going to analyze the poem line by line. I'm going to read the first two lines. She walks in beauty like the night of cloudless climes and starry skies. So, an unnamed woman walks in beauty. This is an odd way of saying that she is beautiful, isn't it? So, walk in beauty makes her beauty seems more dynamic, as though it's partly her movement and spring in her step that make her beautiful. She is not just a pretty face in a portrait. It's the whole living, breathing, walking of the woman that is beautiful. Her beauty is compared to night here. This seems strange because night is dark, right? So, aren't beautiful women usually compared to a summer's day that is more, that provide more light? So, like Shakespeare compared in his sonnet 18th. So, it seems strange that the poet compared the beautiful women into the night. But the featured woman isn't just compared to any but night. She is compared to a night in a place where there are no clouds and lots of stars. So the night that compared with that beautiful woman is with no clouds and there is a lot of stars. The night is beautiful, and we suppose that it means she has a very clear and lovely complexion. Or perhaps being cloudless has more to do with her personality. Her conscience might be as clear as cloudless sky. Maybe there is chances. And you see this starry skies at night, but the brightness of the stars relieves the darkness of the night. So this is the first hint of a contrast between light and dark in the poem. So there is a comparison. There is a comparison between light and dark in the poem. And there is some pretty sweet alliteration in these lines. You might want to hear over to the symbol section for more on that before moving forward. So we will discuss about the symbols. Okay. So this is the first two lines. So we can move. And all that's best of dark and bright meet in her aspect and her eyes. So the contrast between light and dark that was first brought up by the starry skies in line 2 is repeated and developed in line 3. So everything that is great about both dark and bright come together in this woman. So essentially, she got the best of both dark and bright. So her aspect can mean both her facial expression and her overall appearance. So her whole appearance and especially her eyes create some kind of harmony between dark and bright. So if this seems weird to you, Think of a really beautiful person who has dark eyes that always seems to sparkle, or someone whose eyes color contrast with his or her hair color in an attractive way. That's what Byron's talking about. The contrast that creates beauty and harmony. So Byron's setting up a binary or a position between bright and dark, but it's important to realize that neither is considered better or worse than the other, both when we compare bright or dark. So neither is considered better or worse than the other. So both have aspects that are best. Okay. So this mellow to that tender light which heaven to gaudy day denies. So he continues his poem. Everything that's great about both dark and bright. This mellow to that tender light which heaven to gaudy day denies. So everything that's great about both this dark and bright. That is mentioned in line 3. So it is mellowed or toned down to something that's more tender and less intense than the light you get during the day. So since Byron has been talking about night, try thinking about starlight or moonlight. That would be a tender light. That is less gaudy or bright and blinding than the light you get during the day. That is simple. And these lines are amazing by George Gordon Byron. We can continue. One shade the more, one ray the less, had half impaired the nameless grace, which waves in every raven trees or softly lightens our face. So the balance between shade and light in the lady's beauty is so perfect that if you added one more shade or took away a single ray of light, so you had messed everything up. So fiddling with the balance at all would have impair or partially damage. So the woman's beauty, that is ultimate. So her beauty and grace are so hard to define that they are nameless. So the poet can't quite put his finger on what makes her so graceful, but he will give it a try. After all, that's what the poem is doing, attempting to put sentiments into words. So this nameless grace is visible in every lock of her black hair, every raven tress. That is mentioned as every raven tress. And it lightens her face. Look more about the contrast of light and the dark. So the balance between light and dark that creates her nameless grace is apparent in both her dark hair and in the expression that lightens her face. So this is simple. There's a perfect balance between shade and light. And where thoughts suddenly sweet express how poor, how dear their dwelling place. So in these lines, the expression on the woman's face shows how serenely sweet her thoughts are. Her sweet expression, the speaker reasons, is an accurate reflection of what's going on inside her mind, which is the dwelling place of her thoughts. Here we have another binary or set of contrasts to keep track of: her exterior expression and her interior thoughts. The sweetness of this lady's expression suggests that her mind is pure and innocent. Dear, in this context, so he used the term dear in this context. It means both precious and valuable. That is very important. And his lines continues as, and on that cheek and o'er that brow, so soft, so calm, yet elegant, the smiles that can win, the tints that glow. So the woman smiles and her healthy blushes, which means tints that glow on her cheek and brow are serene and calm. In other words, she is quiet and rather elegant, and she doesn't joke and laugh a lot. She seems to be more of the lovely and regal type. But even though she is quiet and calm, her smiles and blushes are elegant. Her face is very expressive, even if she doesn't say much out loud. She is calm and cool, but her smiles and blushes are elegant. That is beautiful. And but tell of days in goodness spent, a mind at peace with all below, a heart whose love is innocent. So, in these lines, but what exactly do those smiles express? There is a question. What exactly do those smiles express? We are so glad you asked. Byron tells us that they reflect all the time that the woman has spent doing good deeds. She's certainly not just a pretty face, she's also kind and good, which is why she is able to look so calm and serene. Her conscience is at rest. So the woman's serenity and smiles also reflect in the calmness of her mind because she is a good person and her mind is at peace with all below. Not only that, but her love is innocent. This could mean that she is not in love with anyone, or it could mean that she is, but that her love is pure and innocent. In other words, that it's not a sexual love. So I'm talking about the divinity of love, not the sexual love. So this is all about the poem, and we will discuss about the theme and the figure of speeches in next session. So thank you all.